She declared during dinner, "I'm engaged to your closest friend. We've been together for months." The table fell into a stunned hush. Every gaze turned to me, anticipating an outburst. I stayed silent. Discreetly under the table, I unlocked my phone, selected a single image, and sent it to him via AirDrop. My girlfriend was named Emma, and my best friend was Noah. For the past 4 years, I thought my life was secure. A solid career, a wonderful woman I cherished, and a friend I'd known since childhood. In reality, I had none of those. What I had was a disaster waiting to erupt. For the last 6 weeks, I'd been meticulously diffusing it, ensuring that when it finally detonated, I'd walk away unscathed. The first hint of trouble surfaced about 2 months ago. Emma began to change. My Emma was a carefree, grounded woman who loved simple nights with takeout and a film. This new Emma was fixated on prestige. Suddenly, she craved appearances at elite galleries, the hottest restaurants, and exclusive fundraisers. Our relaxed weekends together were replaced by a social schedule I had no say in. When I questioned her, she'd brush me off. "It's for my career, Lucas. It's networking. You wouldn't get it." Then came the lavish gifts. A high-end purse she claimed was a steal, shoes costing more than my car payment, supposedly a client gift. Her explanations were always just believable enough to make me feel guilty for doubting her. Noah, my best friend, was her biggest supporter. He'd come over to watch a game and rave about her drive. "She's going places, man," he'd say, slapping my shoulder. "You're lucky to have a woman with that ambition." Now I see he wasn't just encouraging her, he was sizing up his rival. The real wake-up call came 6 weeks ago. It wasn't one event, but a series of subtle, deliberate shifts. Emma began guarding her phone like it held classified documents, tilting the screen away and taking calls in private. Then her laptop mysteriously malfunctioned right before a major work project. She asked to use our shared home office computer temporarily. As a software developer, I knew my way around tech. I offered to create a new user profile for her to keep our files separate. That was my opportunity. Before setting it up, I installed a discrete keylogger and remote monitoring software. It felt like a betrayal of trust, but my instincts told me the trust was already broken. I just needed proof. I didn't wait long. That first night, I watched everything from my laptop in another room. I saw her access a hidden email account. I read the exchanges between her and Noah. They weren't just flirting, they were plotting a future together. They mocked me, my job, my lack of drive. They discussed the perfect moment to break the news, planning to leave me too shocked to respond. Then I found other messages, ones to a man named Victor Hale. A quick search revealed he was a wealthy real estate tycoon in his late 50s, married and immensely rich. The messages to him were strategic, filled with flattery and subtle promises. She was playing a far bigger game than I'd imagined. Noah wasn't her endgame. He was just a stepping stone until she could land the real prize. The betrayal hit like a punch. My best friend and the woman I lived with had deceived me, but the pain quickly turned into a sharp, calculated resolve. They thought they were clever, that I was too naive to notice their scheme. I decided I wouldn't just confront them. I'd let them build their fantasy, then tear it down myself. This wouldn't be a chaotic breakup. It would be a precise, controlled collapse. I kept monitoring her activity, collecting evidence. I saw hotel bookings for business trips her company never approved, all paid for by Victor. I found receipts for the client gifts she'd bragged about. The final piece clicked into place a week ago. She claimed she was attending a tech conference in a nearby city. My software told a different story. A reservation at a luxury boutique hotel under Victor's name, and a flight confirmation to a private airstrip near his coastal mansion, not the conference city. That was my opening. I knew from Victor's social media that he loved sailing. I also knew his favorite restaurant in the harbor town near his estate. I took 2 days off work, telling Emma I was visiting my ill uncle. I drove 4 hours to that town and sat at a cafe across from the restaurant for 7 hours waiting. Then I saw them, Emma and Victor, leaving the restaurant, laughing. His arm was around her, and she gazed at him with the same fake affection she once gave me. He wore a distinctive, custom-designed watch I'd noted from his online profiles. I pulled out my phone, zoomed in, and snapped one perfect, clear photo. Emma, Victor, and his unmistakable, exorbitant watch all in one shot. I had my ammunition. I knew the end was near. Emma and Noah were growing reckless, more blatant. The final act began when Noah called me on Monday, suggesting a celebratory dinner on Friday. He had big news to share and recommended a high-end restaurant, one of their new favorites. He told me to bring Emma, of course. It was painfully obvious. This was the night they planned to drop their bombshell. I understood their strategy perfectly. They didn't just want to end things, they wanted to humiliate me. They saw me as a passive, unassuming guy who'd be too mortified to make a scene. By announcing their engagement publicly, they could spin the story, painting me as the guy who couldn't keep up. It was a power move, and I was content to let them think they held the reins. I spent the next 4 days preparing. I opened a new bank account and moved all my savings from our joint account, leaving just a small amount. I consulted a lawyer who drafted a formal eviction notice, as Emma's name wasn't on my house's deed. I packed all her belongings, every shoe, every purse, into boxes and had a moving company store them in a unit, paying for the first month. By Friday morning, every trace of her was gone from my home. All that remained was the photo on my phone. At the restaurant that night, the air buzzed with tension only I understood. Emma and Noah were radiant, sharing sly smiles and subtle touches. They thought they were untouchable, holding all the cards. They ordered the priciest champagne. After the main course, Emma stood, tapping her glass with a spoon, her face glowing with smug confidence. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice dripping with rehearsed emotion. "This year has been transformative for me, and I've made tough choices to follow my heart and find true happiness." She glanced at me, a hint of pity in her eyes, a calculated part of the act. "Sometimes," she continued, "you realize the life you have isn't the one you're meant for. I'm overjoyed to share that I've found my true partner." She turned to Noah, her eyes gleaming. "Noah and I have been together for months, and tonight I'm thrilled to announce our engagement." The friends at the table, clearly in on the plan, burst into applause. They all turned to me, their faces a mix of sympathy and morbid curiosity, waiting for me to crumble. I just smiled. I looked at Noah, my lifelong friend who'd betrayed me, and gave him a slow, knowing nod. Then I glanced at my phone, selected the photo from last Saturday, Emma and Victor, his custom watch shining in the sunlight, and sent it to Noah via AirDrop. His phone pinged. He glanced at it, irritation flickering across his face. Then his eyes widened and he froze. His face turned ashen. He looked from the phone to Emma, then to me. In my gaze, he saw not rage, but a cold, unyielding finality. He realized he wasn't the victor, he was just another piece in her game. He stood, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. The restaurant fell silent. "When was this taken?" he demanded, his voice low and dangerous. Emma faltered, trying to see his phone. "What photo, honey? What's wrong?" "This photo," he shouted, thrusting the screen in her face. "With Victor Hale last Saturday, you said you were visiting your sick aunt in the countryside. You used my credit card for the hotel?" Emma's face drained of color. She was cornered with no lie big enough to escape. The other friends stared, mouths agape. "We're done," Noah said, his voice trembling with rage. He pulled a new engagement ring from his pocket and tossed it onto the floor. "You're the most manipulative, deceitful person I've ever known. You played us both." He glanced at me, shame flickering in his eyes. He knew, he told the table. He knew all along. He threw cash on the table for his share and stormed out without looking back. Emma sat there, utterly exposed. Her perfect moment, her grand triumph, had become a public disaster. I calmly paid my portion of the bill, stood, and said to the silent table, "Well, this was quite an evening." Then I walked out, leaving her amid the ruins. At home, my quiet, empty apartment felt like a sanctuary. I blocked Emma's number, Noah's number, and the numbers of the friends who'd been complicit. The silence was blissful. An hour later, pounding on my door began. It was Emma. My doorbell camera showed her, tears and fury contorting her face. "Lucas, open the door, we need to talk." I watched the feed, feeling a strange detachment. After minutes of her shouting my name, I spoke through the intercom. "There's nothing to discuss, Emma. We're done." Her tone shifted instantly, anger giving way to desperate pleas. "No, Lucas, please, I love you. It was always you. Noah was a mistake. Victor meant nothing. Let me in, I have nowhere to go." "That's not my concern anymore," I said. "Your things are in a storage unit. The key and address were sent to your parents' house via overnight mail. They'll arrive tomorrow." She stared at the camera, speechless, unable to process that I'd outmaneuvered her. Then she erupted, screaming that she hated me, that she'd never loved me, that I'd ruined her life. I turned off the intercom, poured myself a drink, and moved to my final step. I found Victor Hale's wife, Margaret, on social media. Her profile was public. Using a new, anonymous account, I sent her the photo of Emma and Victor with a simple caption. "Your husband last Saturday. Thought you should know." The next morning, Emma's father called from an unknown number. His voice was weary, not angry. He said the courier had arrived with the storage unit key. Emma had shown up at their house in the middle of the night, hysterical, spinning a tale where I was the villain. The key told them my version was closer to the truth. He said they'd given her an ultimatum. Get a real job and start therapy or she was cut off. The family funds were closed. The second domino fell 2 days later. Margaret Hale was not one to stay silent. She didn't respond to my anonymous message but had her assistant contact me at work, requesting a confidential call. I agreed. Margaret was courteous, icy, and efficient. She'd researched me thoroughly. She thanked me for the information and asked for more. I sent her key-logged evidence, hotel receipts in Victor's name, screenshots of Emma's shopping sprees funded by him. I asked for nothing in return. Helping her was reward enough. The consequences were explosive. Within a week, news broke of the Hales' high-profile divorce. Margaret, armed with my evidence, took everything. As a major shareholder in a rival firm, she used the scandal to orchestrate a takeover of Victor's key subsidiary, a project he'd poured years into. She didn't just divorce him, she dismantled his career. Victor, engulfed in legal and financial turmoil, cut contact with Emma entirely. Her golden opportunity vanished. Meanwhile, Emma launched a weak smear campaign against me, telling mutual friends I was a controlling monster who'd faked a photo to sabotage her and Noah. It might have gained traction, but Noah was on his own rampage. He called me a week after the dinner, sounding broken. He didn't apologize for the affair, that wasn't his style, but he admitted to underestimating me. He'd exposed the full truth in our old group chat. The months of deceit, their plans, Emma's affair with Victor. He did it to save his own reputation, not mine, but the effect was the same. He ended the call saying, "She's a manipulator, Lucas, you're better off without her." He relocated to another state a month later. Emma was now toxic. No boyfriend, no fiancé, no wealthy patron. Her parents kept her at a distance and her friends sided with me or Noah. She was a social outcast. Then came her final, desperate move. A month after the dinner, I received a formal letter from a lawyer. Emma claimed our 4-year relationship qualified as a common-law marriage, entitling her to half my assets, including part of my house's value. She also sued for emotional distress, blaming my public humiliation of her. I laughed and forwarded it to my lawyer. My lawyer's response was masterful. A single page, it noted that our state didn't recognize common-law marriage, included my house's deed in my name alone, purchased before meeting Emma, and attached the eviction notice. The final paragraph was the best. It warned that pursuing her baseless lawsuit would force us to subpoena witnesses to her infidelity, including Noah Lassiter and Victor Hale, noting that Hale's messy divorce might make him an unwilling but relevant witness regarding their financial dealings. We never heard from her lawyer again. 6 months later, the silence is absolute. Word is Emma's parents let her move into their basement. She's working a low-level office job, constantly whining about her unfair life. Victor Hale is a shell of his former self, while Margaret's company thrives. Noah is gone. The friends who backed them are gone. My life is peaceful. I reclaimed my home, my finances, and my serenity. They thought they were playing a game, believing they alone knew the rules. They didn't realize I'd rewritten the playbook and rigged the board. I blocked Emma everywhere, changed my number the next day, and savored the quiet. I won not by shouting or fighting, but by outsmarting them.